Remember when I said you wouldn't see any more videos from this place? I lied. So, I hope you all enjoyed my fabulous mega haul video that took far too long to sort of put together and put up, mainly because while I was home a couple of weeks, the internet just wasn't working, and so now I'm back in Bristol for my exams, where I've got a much better internet connection. I was able to put it up and you can watch it and see just how eye-searingly amazing all those things I got were, and well, now, you know, prepare yourself for something completely underwhelming by that comparison. One thing I would like to say, because of the fact I've basically had no real good internet for the past couple of weeks, I realise I've missed out on quite a few people's videos. I know that, like, Mr. John put up a question and answer video, and that was it. I just saw that he'd put it up. I couldn't watch it. I couldn't ask him a question. So that was a bit sort of disappointing. I don't like it when I'm sort of cut off from interacting with the YouTube community and all that. Anyway, down to the last 3 weeks of plastic. Yes, I'm filming this in May, and this is all sort of stuff that is for the April catch-up, because of having those weeks of not being able to put any videos out. So, let's begin with the bot shot I mentioned in the end of the massive haul video. I've got a spin shot Ironhide, who's all whirlwindy like that, and he's got all this sort of stuff on the back, and his feet are just a flat panel, and that was something which I thought would really put me off any of these new bot shots, because, well, look at it, and it is sort of an objectively bad robot mode. His arms just outside here are just sort of flippy flappy, but I really like it, partly because I managed to find it in my newsagent, which was completely weird. I was just out with a couple of my friends one day around my home village, and went in the newsagent and saw that they had brand new bot shots I hadn't seen anywhere else, and it just brought back nice nostalgic memories of me going in there and finding things like Cybertron Micromasters that I'd never seen anywhere else either. And I thought, yeah, I'm going to take a punt, get myself an Ironhide, and I'm really happy that I did, because while it is a bit poo, the gimmick is so much fun, because you just wind him up, close him shut into this quite big for a bot shot sort of boxy red, there's a positive, truck mode, and hit him on there, take two, and hit him on there, and he'll open up and spin around a bit better than that when I don't have my fingers in the way of this bit, but it's just really sort of fun. And then you're left with a robot mode that has the gimmick in there as well, so you can just sort of do that and he'll spin around and punch people. I'd recommend it, really, you know, £4, I think it's worth it. Skipping ahead a little bit, I went back there like the week after, because I saw that they had another bot shop that was sort of worth getting there. I mean, the only other ones they had from Ironhide's wave were those bumblebees that are just, I think, the yellow version of the cliff jumper that I've got, so I obviously didn't want to touch them. But they had an original Mirage, original first series, whatever you want to call them. And I went back and picked him up, and I don't know, I mean, it was nice to just be able to walk down the road and buy myself a new robot, but there's not really a lot special about him. I could say that he's a nice mix of styles. He's got the G1 colours and the G1 face, but he's got the sort of dark of the moon chest detail going on, which you won't be able to see. And then when he's a car, he's quite clearly a blue Ferrari Italia, I think, which was what Dino / Mirage was in the film, only red. So it's a nice little mix of the old and new, and I quite like that. So there's a little sort of tidbits out of the way. Let's move on to something slightly more meaty, but not necessarily very much more. I went into TK Maxx, found some very cheap Prime Voyagers at the price of a deluxe, and thought that that was probably a good price with which to part with money in exchange for a Starscream. I do rather like this figure, but it has to be said, if you go and pay 20 quid for this, which is what it should be, it's really not worth it. You just don't get the plastic. I understand that this design is meant to be all skinny and lithe, but there just isn't 20 quid's worth of plastic here. There's no way you can look at that and justify the price for this, which is why I was very happy I got this at a deluxe price point. It captures the show model very well, maybe not with so much detail as the first edition one from what I've heard, but I like this version. Maybe it's his shiny thighs, I don't know. When I got him out of the box, it was a bit like, is that all there is? Because there isn't a lot going on here. The robot mode is obviously, you know, that's what you get. It's skinny and there's not a lot to him, and that means there isn't quite so much detail as you might expect either. And the jet mode is frankly disappointing. It's just, I don't know, the transformation isn't involved enough, and the jet mode looks really weird because you've got loads of, well, not a lot, not so much as like Skyquake I suppose, but you have got robot bits sticking out, and like the bits that make his chest that look vaguely like a face end up sitting on the top of the jet, and surely these aren't meant to be jet bits, they're just obscure weird robot bits that come out of nowhere. I don't know. I guess what I like most about this figure is that because there isn't so much going on with him in the terms of limbs really doing anything to transform, so he ends up being quite a good action figure. Just, he's really easy and good to pose, and he just looks sort of good in any pose you put him in because his arms and legs are so long, and he just looks very dynamic all the time. I suppose I'd better mention his rubbish gun here. It works just like 90% of the other Voyager guns do, with this mechanism that makes a bit fold out and a light come on. But for some reason it feels better than most of the others, because it looks like it's made to be a weapon when it's all folded up, because you've got details on this bit that make it look like it's a box full of missiles, and that is good, yes. He ends up being out of scale because he is so tall, because of the fact that they have tried to get a sort of size quota in here, but it's just, yeah, he's taller than Megatron, he's taller than every other Voyager, and he towers over Soundwave, and that's just like, he should be more the same size. So maybe I should have got the first edition, but I'm quite happy with this guy. Moving on now to my latest purchase. Once I got some money in my bank again, of course I went and spent it on some plastic, didn't I? I went on the new Toy Spin site, which is what Toys and Games is now, because they've changed for some reason, and it's quite a nice site, and there was a bit of a discount if you sign up as a new customer. So I decided to get my hands on some of the thrilling 30s stuff. Now I know what you're thinking, oh, he's going to show me a Springer, oh, he's going to show me a Blitzwing, something interesting like that, really big and meaty and is really worth loads of money. Nah, I couldn't really be bothered to spend that much money. So instead I just got the little Optimus Prime. Woo! This is still very nice. Yes, he comes with little tiny Roller as well, who is very, very small, and I think I'm going to speak about him first. He is basically a Micromaster with a gun mode, I guess. You'll see here his robot mode. He has no articulation but his arms. He's incredibly G1. I'm sure there were G1 figures that were slightly better than this actually. So it's a bit of a disappointment to live in this day and age and to have a little figure as completely fundamentally basic as this. But I guess it makes him sturdy. I guess, you know, they don't need to be that tricked out when they're this size, so I guess he's okay. One thing to point out, his body type lends itself very well to possibly being repainted as Swerve in the future. Let's hope so. Well, actually, let's not, because I'd rather have Deluxe figure as Swerve than this tiny little thing. But yes, put his arms in and turn him over, and you've transformed him into quite a good looking sort of GP thing. You know, it's got 6 wheels and it's blue, therefore it's Roller. It does look like it's got some seats on it as well, so there's a good sort of homage thing. You can go and stick Optimus's gun on the top as well. Basically, I don't know, I'm sort of torn between talking too much about this because it's new and exciting and people will want to know, and actually waiting and filming a review, which will be a lot more informative. Anyway, open him up, and he's a rubbish gun. And when Optimus holds him, it's just like he's holding a guy out straight who will shoot stuff out of his feet. Can't say I like this, but it's a nice little bonus, I suppose. But it's okay because it's all shiny and new. Yes, it's a comic-inspired Optimus. He looks like Don Figueroa's design from the ongoing series, and actually, it's the design they still use to draw him now when he appears here and there. So it's good. It's a nice modern G1 Optimus, and I'm a little bit disappointed that they couldn't have made this design into something bigger, but this is a nice little figure. Technically, its name is Legends Class Optimus Prime, which is misleading to some of us older fans because Legends Class are smaller than this. He is a bit more like a Cyberverse Commander, but he's also like a head smaller than one of those, so he's somewhere in between Legion and Commander these days. And it's just very nice indeed. He's very poseable, he's covered in ball joints for a figure this size, and the transformation is quite nice. It's all classic G1 Optimus, he spins at the middle and his arms tuck in. And the truck mode looks good too, even if it does just have feet sticking out the end because these don't move anywhere. It also looks like he's got 5mm handholds, doesn't it? But they don't seem to be. They seem to be more like 4mm handholds because I can't get him to hold anything but the gun he comes with or roller. Everything else seems far too big to fit in his hands, which is odd because, you know, it makes you think, why didn't they just keep the Cyberverse 3mm hand grip in there? Because his hands end up looking really big. Oh, maybe it's just a tolerance issue. Maybe it's just where they've caked all this metallic blue paint on his hands. I'm not really sure. Maybe yours will be able to hold guns. It could be luck of the draw. But definitely, if you want to take a little step into the amazing figures that are coming over the next year, you don't want to spend like 36 quid on a Blitzwing, although I might have just done, then go and get yourself one of these, or the Bumblebee, or get both at the same time, which I'm slightly regretting I didn't do because this guy's a lot of fun and it seems like I need another guy that's sort of equivalent to him now. But being Optimus, he can just stand there on his own as a sort of independent action figure. Because of course, you know, we've got the next year to go completely mental over what other generations figures Hasbro sort of pull out of nowhere and say, we've been working on this for 2 years, so it's going to be good. So yeah, it's sort of time to get excited now because of course all the 2014 stuff is coming out inexplicably in the middle of 2013. I'm not complaining. And then of course there's going to be Transformers 4 as well, which is probably deserving of another video to discuss that because I have to admit I'm looking forward to it. I think it will be nice to have a redesign of Transformers on the big screen, and it would just be nice to have movie toys on the shelves again. Please don't crucify me. Oh, and I went to see Iron Man 3. It was good. Yes. Although that's probably something else that I could go into a whole video's worth of talking about. But let's not spoil anything. That's your lot! Toodaloo!